Koto katoa, welcome into Sky Rugby Club. It's great to have you with us for another edition, a digital edition. Remember, you can find us always on YouTube under Sky Sport NZ. The crew, they're here. Joey Wheeler, Israel Dagg. How are you two doing this week?
Doing great, Kirstie. I'm home alone actually, so it's pretty boring, pretty quiet. Probably other end of the spectrum to Joey. He's got 2 kids and a newborn, mate. I'm doing good. How are you, Joey?
Yeah, operating on very minimal sleep, Kirst, and also having the Highlanders under-18 camp thrown in the mix this week. It's been a busy week, but it's been awesome seeing the young men of the Highlanders region, what talent we've got coming through the system down here, and being involved in that's been really, really cool.
Well, from the next generation to someone who's just called time on their career for medical reasons, but he was a great Highlanders man, Liam Squire. What did you notice about him? What would you like to say about his career?
I felt really privileged to have played so many games with Squid, as we called him. Obviously, being a Tasman Marco and a Highlander man, just an amazing football player. Every time he took the field, he had such a disregard for his body, and I've got so much respect for any rugby player that when they cross that white line just puts their body on the line for whatever team they're playing in. And every time that he played, he did that, and he always made every team better that he was in, whether it was in defence, lighting guys up, whether it was at the breakdown, flying off his feet and cleaning guys out, or whether it was with one of his big carries from the back. A guy that you loved having on your side, and you always knew you were going to be in. He was going to lift the team's performance. So, yeah, an awesome career, and I'm sure he inspired many other young guys to take up the game, and also to take up the mullet, because he was one guy that always ran it for the majority of his career. But yeah, sad that it's come to an end, probably a little bit sooner than what he would have liked.
Did he get you?
No, he didn't, but he was close to getting me. I remember we were playing that quarterfinal. Joey would have been playing when he took one of the players' heads off and got a red card, and we were char-hooing. But like you said, Joey is just real physical, put his body into, through anything. He would do anything for the team. When you knew he was on your team, you were very happy about it. I was lucky enough to play a few tests with him, and he was just a real chiller, a real relaxing kind of guy. Never got overwhelmed about the occasion. But when he went on that field, man, you just saw that something flick, Just something flicked in his mindset. It's probably why he had to retire, like Joey said. He just flicked, and he just went into overdrive, and he used to poleaxe people. And so I guess when you lose someone like Jerome Kino, you're thinking, who's going to fill that void? Well, he did. He filled that void. He brought that physical presence. He brought that physical game set and the game mindset about his game. And, we didn't see the best of him. I'm pretty sure his career got cut really short. But I just wish him all the best in retirement.
Yeah, let's talk about the NPC now, because finally the decision has been made. The 3 Auckland teams, they have been ruled out officially. It has now become an 11-team competition. Promotion and relegation has been scrapped. But there will still be these finals for both the Premiership and Championship. A team like Taranaki, who's the only unbeaten side in this competition right now, they are crying foul. Is it fair, the decision that they've come to around this Bunnings Cup competition?
Look, I think it's fair, because obviously Auckland are last. They haven't had a decision. Only way they can go around that is the next best. The next worst team in the Premiership is Bay of Plenty, and then Canterbury. So look, my whole point of this is we wouldn't be at this decision if they changed the whole format. I hate the Championship, the Premiership, 2 divisions. I think it's PC. We're just trying to please everyone. I reckon we need to go back to the real, just everyone plays everyone. I know there's talks about the window. Can we create have a competition within the window that's allowed? There's all this talk about that, but for me, they need to just scrap this whole thing. Go back to everyone plays everyone. Have a top 4, top 6, top 8, whatever you have, and then we won't be at this situation. You've got the guys like Taranaki who are 5 from 5, and they're playing in the Championship division, and now they don't even have anything to play for. If it was all one whole thing, we'd have Taranaki, they're a minor province. You'd have Hawke's Bay, they're a minor province. You'd have Tasman, they're a minor province. So you've got these provinces that traditionally have come from absolutely nowhere to build up a provincial rugby team that are beating all the top line teams. So for me, I think they need to scrap this whole thing, start again, and bring a whole new competition back. Whatever that looks like, we'll leave it to the powers that be and whatever decisions Steve Lancaster and them make. But yeah, scrap it. That's for me, Joey.
Yeah, I agree, Dig. I hate this championship, premiership, and I think they only don't play maybe 2 or 3 teams. Like, what does it matter if they're in one big competition and they just don't play those 3 teams anyway? If that works out in the window, I've got no issue with that. But I agree. Like, Taranaki, who are one of the best teams in the comp, are potentially going to be playing for. Technically, if you look at it this way, they're actually playing for 8th position, like that's sort of what it is. And then to get promoted back up. But yeah, they had a bit of a dud year last year. They got dropped down, but now they're producing some of the best rugby in the competition. So we've seen that with Bay of Plenty as well in Hawke's Bay over the last few years, who have then gone from the championship back up to the premiership. So yeah, I agree with you, mate, on that point. Scrap it. I'm sure there'll be a few people out there that'll be saying, no, Auckland need to drop the championship next year, and Taranaki, if they win it, they need to come back up. I can imagine the politics around that board table and how that would go down. It would go down like a cup of cold sick, I'm sure. But yeah, it's so unfortunate for those teams up in Auckland, and I hope that they can find a solution for those guys to play some rugby, because, man, what a sad way to finish, just sitting at home and not being able to play the game you love. So hopefully they come up with maybe a COVID Cup or something like that for those 3 teams.
Well, there is going to be another team in Auckland next year, and we're talking about franchise rugby now. Moana Pasifika is joining Super Rugby Pasifika. If you had all the money in the world, if you could throw the book at someone, who would be your marquee signing for this side? Who would you get?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Like, it's for me, someone that's very passionate about the Pacific Islands and Samoa, and you see it in his post matches. He always speaks Samoan, and he loves where he comes from. I can't go past Adi Savia. If I had an opportunity to get someone to be my marquee player, and you see what he does for the Pacific people, they rally around him. So I can't go past Adi Savia. For me, he's probably the most recognisable name going around in the Pacific world. So Adi Savia would be the guy that I'd sign. And you'd probably, like you said, it would be a lot of money. You'd go for over $1 million if they can in the Moana Pasifika. But Adi Savia for me. Joey, what about yourself?
Yeah, this is a really tough one. And there's just so many talented Pacifica players, right? And I jotted down 5 names when you asked the question, Kirstie, and I was thinking, who would be my number one, and who's the person that you rely on the most to drive your game, and it had to be the 10. So for me, it's Richie Mo'unga. Obviously, we've seen what he's done for the Crusaders. He's been probably Super Rugby Player of the Year for I don't know how many years on the run now. He's an absolute freak at that level, and I reckon if he was in that team, he would set them up really, really nicely, a real good springboard. And I'll tell you what, it'd take more than $1 million to climb out of that Crusaders team, because I know they're probably already paying him $1 million to be there. There's another couple of guys that I jotted down as well, a couple of guys that are overseas. Manu Tuolangi was one that sprang to mind. Awesome guy, awesome player that played for England. The one out of Australia, the Tongan Thor. I thought if we had a 10, a midfielder.
I don't know we're doing 5, Joey.
Yeah, and the Lucy was Artie as well. That he was my Lucy, but yeah, obviously top of the heap was Richie, and then I'd get Nasi Manu in there just for culture, mate.
Nice.
We bring the culture.
Do you reckon? I've heard whispers about that young Lincoln McClutchy. I'd love to hear you talk about him, Joey. And I've heard whispers that he's going to go Moana Pasifika. If we're going to look at players, someone like him and how he's been tracking over the last couple of years, we lost them to Japan last year, but there's been rumours. I hope he gets around Christian Lealifano, learns from him, and just seeing his leadership. This is a kid who, through no fault of his own, had to look after his younger brothers and sisters from a very young age. So the leadership roles I've seen him take from off the field to on the field, mate, I reckon if he gets the opportunity to go in the Moana Pasifika, he will go great guns, mate. What do you reckon?
Yeah, what a story, eh? Like, and getting to know the kid, obviously him and the rest of that Hastings boys hire that make up the nucleus of that Hawke's Bay side at the moment, and that combination that him and Folau Whakatava have had since schoolboys has just gone from strength to strength. And I think what we're seeing in Lincoln McClutchie now is a guy that understands how to control the game. We've always seen the raw talent that he's got, but now we're seeing him control the game, really stamp his mark tactically on games, and I've loved his growth. And yeah, it's so unfortunate. Like a lot of guys, as you know, Izzy, most of the Super Rugby clubs, their contracts, there's only ever maybe 2 or 3 that come up before the season even starts. So before the NPC season even starts. So for guys to play themselves into contracts, it's really, really tough. But if there's one guy that's put his hand up this year, it's definitely him, and I'd love to see him get an opportunity for Moana, and I think he'd do it justice, and he's got that balance in his game now where he understands what parts of the field they're in, what he needs to do in certain situations, and we obviously know that he's got plenty of razzle. So, yeah, I hope they do throw a contract his way, because I think he's ready to step up to that next level at Super Rugby.
Nice, guys. Hopefully we see some of these names that you've been talking about next year. Our final topic, and I really want you to get stuck into this one, World Rugby have changed the laws, and you can now wear leggings or stockings or tights or whatever you want to call them underneath your rugby shorts, even at international level. I imagine, Izzy, you would have been the type of person that did this.
No
100%.
way, no way.
Joey.
No, honestly, there is nothing worse than having long stockings out the bottom of your socks. I can't imagine having 3/4 stockings down my ankles. Like, that is an absolute no-no. And the only person I can see doing this, playing rugby, I spoke about it today actually, would have to be Ryan Crotty. He's probably the only guy that I can see going out. Ryan Crotty, he thinks he's a trendsetter. He thinks he's pretty razzly. I can picture him doing it. It's just an absolute no-no for me, Joey. Like, it is disgusting. As a line-out lifter, would that help, or would that?
No, that was exactly my point. There's no way you'd see a lock or a forward being able to do that, because obviously you've got to strap your legs. So the forwards are out. Maybe some of the props. I'm thinking Owen Franks would look real good in a set of leggings.
Imagine how tangy that would be.
Owen Franks would be loving that. Who else would look good in a set of leggings? I actually think Aaron Smith would have a crack.
He'd probably look good in them, you know?
Wait,
he already wears the full-length arm ones.
Exactly.
Aaron Smith was wearing the gloves, so he'd wear the gloves and then he'd wear the stockings.
And then you would see every kid at Ripper Rugby on the weekend wearing the exact same thing if he does it.
You can guarantee that. And he'd be selling sponsorship on the sides of those leggings as well, you guys. He'd be selling it up.
So good. Okay, so I just want to get confirmation. That was a no from you, Izzy?
No from me. Absolute no. That is the worst idea ever. And whoever come up with that obviously got no fashion sense going.
I thought you were on the board.
Nah, yeah. I got nicely.
And a definite no from you too, Joey.
No, I'm for it, but for backs only.
Oh my God. I forgot someone. I know he'll wear it 100%. Corey Jane, mate. Corey Jane would do anything possible to hide those pins. He used to train in Australia in 40-degree heat and train pins. And I'm like, what? He's like, don't like my legs. So he'd be wearing them 100%.
Oh, there you go. Always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Marty Banks would wear them.
This is great. Can we just keep throwing names out here? And we'll tag them. We'll tag them all.
Marty Banks would. Yeah, you reckon? Yeah, he's got horrible.
David Donald would have been he would have been an advocate for them for sure.
He reckons absolutely not until a sponsor's on board. And then he's signing on the dotted line.
Anyone that's got horrible pins, they'll be all for it, let's be honest.
Oh, well, lucky you two have great legs then. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for your time. And next week, we're going to have a little challenge for you. So stay tuned to Sky Rugby Club Digital, and we'll see you next week.
Got fun,